Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the debut edition of Unleashed Wrestling. I'm your host, TJ. This is my co-host, Yorkie.
Woo, let's go. What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Monday Night Raw that just happened and what all is going on with that. We got a little bit of insiders on all things wrestling. That's what we do here. We get information and we give information. We're going to be doing podcasts like this one, and we're also going to be doing little mini videos and updates of the things that's going on in the world of wrestling as well. So y'all be tuned in for all that as well.
Yeah, Steven, I'm super excited about this. This is something we've been wanting to do for quite a while. We've talked about it for a couple years. You know, people that don't know, we do have a separate channel, a sports channel. It's called the Madhouse Sports Channel. We cover stuff like college football, baseball, hockey, stuff like that. So if you want to, we'll leave a link in the video. You can check that out. But this channel is going to be strictly for wrestling, mainly WWE, because that's what Steven and I typically watch. I'm trying to get back into AEW, but I'm not going to lie. It's been kind of difficult. Even though there's a lot of great talent on AEW, like I'm a big Adam Copeland fan, always have been. Broke my heart when he went to AEW, but I get it. I get why he went. So without further ado, though, man, let's get into this Raw. They just finished here about an hour ago, which is kind of weird, man. It ended at 9:30.
Right? I know. And last week it ended at 9:45?
Yeah, and I remember Triple H mentioning something about that. He was glad that it's on Netflix because he has a little bit more leeway with time, so he can go over or end early if he wanted to. But when the match was over at 9:30, I was like, all right, something big's going to happen, which it did, but it wasn't what I thought was going to happen. And we'll talk about that here a little bit later.
We'll probably talk about that at the end because, it's kind of the end of the night. So,
for sure. Well, Steven, Raw opened up with a promo by Jey Uso, and which I thought was a rather good promo.
It really was until, Gunther decided to show his big ugly ass up.
Yeah, look, man. Right? They are pushing this Jey Uso versus Gunther fight at Saturday night's main event, which is Saturday, which we may or may not do a show after. I don't know yet. It depends on time. We're supposed to get some bad weather here where we live. We're getting a winter storm, which very rarely happens. So we should be good by then. But Jey delivered an awesome promo, which he's great on the mic anyway. I've always thought that.
Always been.
He's always been underrated, in my opinion. One of those guys who's just deserves more. I was glad when he won the IC title, but then they took it off of him. I get why they took it off of him. To kind of build towards the bloodline thing going on, but I was a little disappointed they took it off of him as early as they did. But
I get it.
Personally,
storyline wise,
yeah.
It was understandable why they did what they did.
Here's the thing that's confusing me.
One line with this promo that Jey did that I loved the most was the fact that Jey humbled Gunther at the end of the promo where he did the mic drop of rubbing the fact that he main evented WrestleMania and Gunther has yet to be able to do that. I did too.
It was fantastic. No, it was. Here's my thing about this whole thing. Gunther won the title at SummerSlam or Money in the Bank?
Yeah.
Around that time, I think it was Money in the Bank. Yeah. But he hadn't really done much with it since then. My biggest thing is that's true, but what are their plans for Gunther going into the Royal Rumble? Because they haven't announced the match for him yet. He's not going to be in the match. And then after that, what's his plans for WrestleMania? There's rumors of him facing Goldberg, but I highly doubt that will be for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I think at some point they plan on taking it off of Gunther, but who's going to take it off of him?
Well, his match wouldn't be at the Royal Rumble. I think his match would be at the Elimination Chamber.
True, and that's a good point. I'm glad you said that because I had that in my notes to bring up here in a little bit. But I don't think Jey's going to win at Saturday night's main event. However, it would be a fantastic swerve if he did, because then you could have a John Cena or a CM Punk win the Royal Rumble, and then Roman Reigns face Jey Uso at the Elimination Chamber to get the title back, and then they can set up a Roman versus Cody or Roman versus Rock match that they're talking about at Mania. I mean, there's possibilities to all this. I don't think that's going to happen. That's probably wishful thinking on our part, from the fan standpoint. But what did you take out of this promo other than what Jey said? I mean, do you think that this is going to be just a one and done match, or is it going to be like a little mini rivalry?
I wouldn't really call it a mini rivalry, but I wouldn't call it a one and done match. I think they circle
Right.
back around. There's going to be some interference that's going to happen during this match come Saturday. And with that interference, it's going to be a non-legitimate win for whoever. And so it'll
Yeah,
start
probably
with
Gunther.
some kind of a, like you said, a mini feud, but not a rivalry per se. Just kind of more of a storyline filler spot.
That makes sense. I can see them doing that. It's unfortunate, but Jay's going to win a world title. I mean, it's going to happen. It probably won't be this year, but the next couple of years, I can see him winning one. Right. So the first match was a phenomenal match. It wasn't a very long match, but it was Kofi versus Rey Mysterio, and
It had a lot of
I
good
want to say
points.
it did. And I want to tell you something. I am loving what the New Day is doing right now.
I love them, but I hate them.
They're making you hate them, and that's their job.
I know. I get that. I understand that. I'm just saying I love
Right.
the fact that they are hateable. Because
Of course,
for
and this is something they've needed years.
for a decade,
They've
have been
gotten
face,
super stale.
and they have gotten stale. It's the same thing. It goes
Yep.
from only difference is it's not cereal, it's pancakes. If it's not pancakes, it's a unicorn.
Trombones.
I mean,
Hey, yeah.
like, come on now, you gotta get a little unique with it. But no,
No, I agree.
I'm loving this heel move by Xavier Woods and Kofi.
Yes.
It came out of left field. Nobody really saw it coming, but it's likable.
Mm-mm. No, like, I
it's
thought-
likable to hate. Let me rephrase it. It is likable to hate.
It is. And see, when they had that whole thing a couple months ago when they incorporated Big E, I thought that Kofi was actually going to be the one to turn heel. Xavier was going to stay babyface. They swerved us all and turned them both heel.
That-
Which, speaking of Big E, you and I had talked about something. We're not going to talk about it on this show because we want to save that for our Royal Rumble. But I pitched something to Steven that he loved, and it's going to blow your mind. So make sure y'all tune in for our Royal Rumble preview match or preview show coming up here next week. So, the whole black jeans Kofi wearing though, man, I thought that it's different because he's always wearing the tights.
Yeah.
It's
I'm loving the new style. I really am.
I am too.
Not the
It's
color
solidifying
style.
heel turns.
Yeah, it's solidifying the heel. And that's what you need. You need a heel solidification when you're going the heel
Right.
route. Look at Roman
Right, and-
Reigns.
and-
He went from being a face to being one of the most dominant heels for 3 years. Back to... But the thing is, they were chanting Roman's name while he was a heel. Nobody expected that.
No, and they were booing him when he was a babyface. So
Exactly. So, I mean,
go figure.
again, that was a good move for Roman Reigns because he was getting stale. It's another one of
Oh,
those
of course.
situations. And it's working well.
No, I agree. And
Um,
and the whole heat they're getting on the mic is up there with the Dominic Mysterio level. Like, they can't hardly say anything without getting booed out the building. And that's what they want, and that's that level that they need to be at right now.
You know, and a few key points that I took away from the match itself. I mean, I know we're talking New Day. There's really not much to talk about Rey Mysterio wise right now, other than the fact of what I took away from this.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you had the great JBL as a guest commentator for this match. I don't know why he was out there. I don't know what his...
It is in Texas.
I mean, I get that, but at the same time, why that match? That,
I don't know.
I think...
I guess because Rey Mysterio,
Oh, yeah.
he had a I think, you know, I mean, they had a rivalry, and I guess I don't know. I mean, that would be my guess. I don't know why they picked that match for him to commentate on. I figured it would have been the main event,
That's
but
what I was saying. I figured it'd been the Seth and Drew match, but which we'll talk about later.
yeah, exactly.
The few things I took away was when towards the end of the match when Ray set up for the 619 and Xavier did the little trip move that he did right in front of the ref. That was dumb. Ref saw it.
Yeah.
So he argued the ref, which normally I thought that was an automatic disqualification if it's seen, but apparently not. And all they did was ban him from ringside. And as soon as that
Pretty much,
happened, he set Kofi up against the ropes, did the 619, Kofi reversed out of it, the pin part of it, and then tried to do a Trouble in Paradise. Ray catches it, flips him into a roll pin, and the next thing you know, the New Day just attacks Rey Mysterio. What I take away from that is they're trying to set up a feud with the LWO and trying to get a tag feud going, because as Ray was getting attacked, LWO came out, and then they just kind of did their own little scuffle and then went from there.
Yeah, I honestly didn't pay that much attention to it because at that time I was cooking supper for everybody because they're still a little sick. But I was watching it on my phone as that was going on. But that makes sense that they're trying to get them a good tag team rivalry going on, because I think the New Day's line to win the titles. I do. I think they're going to take it from the War Raiders at Mania.
You think it'll be Mania, I really do. Or do you think it'll be later? Because if it's going to be at Mania, why are they setting up for the LWO now and not the War Raiders?
I don't know. I know Mania's later on in April this year, so maybe they're going to have a fight at the Rumble.
And the LWO and maybe Rumble fight or whatever, and then
and then maybe Elimination Chamber too, but then somehow
or that
War Raiders incorporate themselves in.
Make this match kind of like a contenders match or something.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I don't see the Raiders keeping it very long, although I like them. But I mean, the New Day, man, they're. I don't think they would have turned them heel if they didn't have big plans for them.
Right. So on to the next night, or next event of the night, was Sami Zayn coming out to declare his spot in the Rumble. About halfway through, quarter way through, Kevin Owens comes out, looking like an idiot, carrying a belt that he has not won yet. He cuts the deepest promo towards both of them coming out on top at the Royal Rumble. With Kevin Owens in the ladder match against Cody, which I can't wait for that. That's going to be a good match.
It is. Now, before we move on to about this, I do want to say one thing. WWE, please, I am begging you, please keep the Winged Eagle. That belt looks so freaking good.
It is so beautiful.
It's a classic. It looks good.
Yeah.
You've upgraded all your other titles. Upgrade that one, man. Like it's in desperate need of a makeover.
That is by far my favorite belt of all times. Is that Winged Eagle.
Mine too.
Between that Winged Eagle and the solid gold NWO belt,
which I get, like the World Heavyweight Championship kind of resembles that, but I wish they just would have brought that one back.
Right.
It's got so much history. That's why I didn't mean to go go off topic there, but yeah, that promo, Sami Zayn announcing himself for the Royal Rumble, to me was pretty expected. I was not expecting KO to interrupt. I figured somebody was, because usually when they do a promo and somebody announces that they're going to enter, somebody interrupts, but I thought it was going to be somebody like Seth Rollins.
See, that's what I thought too, but then again, we'll talk about that later because, you know.
Yep. Well, one thing that kind of stood out to me was KO was talking to Sammy and calling him his best friend in 20 years and all that kind of stuff, which we know behind the scenes they are.
Right, yeah.
But storyline purposes, you know, he hates Sami Zayn. He said it earlier. But he said Sami Zayn can and he will win the Royal Rumble. Said that he's got Sammy's back. So that kind of makes me wonder if they're setting up for a Owens versus Zayn match at Mania.
Which would be phenomenal to see because they are both kind of aging, you know. And
before we get to the next match, man, there's one thing I wanted to say something to. I'm loving what Netflix is doing with these in-crowd interviews. When they're up in like the skybox and they're interviewing them live and, you know, with the fans right there beside them, I'm loving it. They did it with Karrion Kross tonight, CM Punk, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. Did it with Ludwig Kaiser. And to me, it makes it feel like it's something special.
Yeah, I'm loving the direction that Netflix has taken this.
Oh gosh, yes. As you keep going, Netflix. Whatever you're doing is working. Keep it up.
Doing it for sure. But yeah, let's roll off into the next match. Bayley versus Nia Jax. There really wasn't much to it. You knew Nia Jax was going to win it. The key point in that is I think they're setting up for Bayley and Roxanne Perez.
I think so too. And
because Bayley is now officially on the Raw roster again.
Now, let me ask you this before we get into what happened after the match. I mean, at this point, there's no point in changing it. But do you like Bailey better now, or when she was doing the whole hugger thing?
Oh, Hugger Bailey all the way.
Really?
I've always loved Hugger Bailey.
Yeah, I don't think they'll bring it back, but
They won't bring it back, but I'm loving I didn't like her when she was that heel. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't set up to where it could be a longevity thing.
all right. Then they had Pete Dunne versus Penta, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch this match.
I
was
kept
busy
tabs
doing
on
other stuff.
It wasn't really much of a match. The way I took it is it was basically a filler match, but also a match to show Penta off a little bit more, considering it's his debut was last week.
Match.
So
yeah, and I love Penta, by the way.
Yes.
He's fantastic.
Yes, he is phenomenal at what he does.
I love. Even though Rey Mysterio's old, I'd love to see him and Mysterio go at it.
Oh, that's Mania caliber.
You ain't lying.
If they don't,
because even though Rey's in his 50s, man, he can still go.
Is going to happen. He's either going to join the LWO or his brother's going to come in and sign, which they're talking about that happening, but that can be its own video at a different time.
And then they had Pure Fusion Collective versus Damage Control. Again, another match that I was like, I've never been a fan of PFC. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they just don't mesh well together, or if they'd be better off as singles competitors.
I'm about to say it's funny you say that because all four of them are phenomenal singles competitors.
Mm-hmm. It's like WWE's trying to push them, yet they book them to lose.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't see them staying together much longer. I mean, they tried it, when they first started and they didn't have a name, and then a few weeks later they came out with their name. But I posted this on X, and I wasn't doing this to be disrespectful. I was just being honest. I said, am I the only one who gets up and leaves the room when PFC's on TV?
Well,
I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
It's funny you say that because I have early mornings when it comes to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I really needed to get a shower before, because we're doing this later in the evening. So I wanted to go ahead and get all that stuff done. So whenever I get down here, I can just, go to the bed or whatever. But during this, this is the match. I was like, okay, nothing good's going to come from this match. I'm going to get my shower now. So I pretty much told TJ, I was like, this one's all you, buddy. I'm going to get a shower.
Yeah, man. I was giving my kids a bath at the time. Yeah. My twins. I love Damage Control.
Yeah.
Although they're not like what they were when they were full force.
They are getting still.
Yeah, they won't be together longer, and I think they'll have a breakup and go their separate ways. But this next segment, being a little biased here, was my favorite segment of the whole night, and that was the CM Punk interview. I even texted Yorkie earlier. I said, "Look, that CM Punk interview was fire," and he came back and said it was. I think he said it was decent, or it was solid, or something. I think he said.
I just said solid, straight solid, because it was pure. He was just the CM Punk we all know and love, and just
the point that we've been
everybody through the mud. Didn't care who it was.
No, he didn't, and that's.
Man,
I'm glad you said that, because that was the point I was going to make. Was he proves that he still has it on the mic?
Oh, that man!
I don't think there's anybody on that roster that can compete with him on the mic.
There's one person.
Other than Cena.
I was about to say there's one person.
Rock.
But The Rock kind of has to read notes on his arm.
Punk don't have to. Man, he was talking about Cena. He goes, Cena, he can't see me. He said Hulk Hogan's old ass. He said, well, I'll throw him over the top rope. He said Sami Zayn is not on his level.
He says Hulk Hogan's dusty old ass.
Which was great. I'd laugh too. But then, he said something about Sami Zayn not being on his level. He mentioned Drew and Seth. One thing, though, that whole interview that stood out to me is he said, I may even have a couple favors I have to cash in.
Yeah, I wonder.
Which Paul Heyman owes him a favor. So I'll wonder if that favor is for Paul Heyman to somehow interfere for Punk to win and go to Mania. I don't know. We'll find out. Then we roll into the main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. And they kept calling it a WrestleMania rematch, which I'm not going to lie, that match was a WrestleMania caliber match.
It was. But
what do you expect when you have those two in the ring? They're both purely professional.
Man, those two in the ring together is pure genius. Now, there's a couple that are... There's a few guys that you get them in the ring together, they do it. Even if they hate each other, they do it. And
Punk and Rollins.
Oh man, that match should have been a WrestleMania match.
You're not lying. It was supposed to be the WrestleMania match last year.
I know, but Punk getting hurt and everything. But still, that match, man, oh man, if that match was at WrestleMania, oh. But anyways,
they're not done. They're definitely not done.
They're not. There's a lot.
I think they're going to go through I think they're going to go through the Rumble, and depending on who wins that match, then they may continue their feud up to Mania, or at least the Elimination Chamber. I don't know. We'll see. You and I will talk offline about who we think is going to win, which we can make notes for when we do our Royal Rumble video, which you'll need to watch here coming out. Next weekend?
Next weekend,
maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll do Saturday night main event Saturday. We may do SmackDown Friday night, depending on things. Get that video out, and then we'll do Saturday night's main event, a post show, and then we'll do Raw, and then we'll go into the Rumble. We may or may not do SmackDown, depending on how good it was. But that's something we'll talk about at the end of the video again.
We'll probably talk about that at the end of the video.
But I'll tell you this: Drew carried the majority of the match, which typically the heels do. Seth made Drew look so dominant in that match. Like, you got to give Seth 100% credit for that, man. He made Drew look like a superstar, which he already is.
Seth is.
But he made Drew look.
Seth is one of the best sellers in the WWE.
Yes, he is. Regardless of how he feels about you personally, he's always professional.
He is Shawn Michaels caliber, selling the crap out of everything that happens in that ring. And it is amazing.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you this. I think McIntyre will have a world title before the end of the year.
Oh, you think his 5 minutes of fame is not up?
Yeah, I think he's going to have like a legit run.
Pun intended there, by the way. The whole 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But no, I do. I think he's due for a massive push.
I do too.
I think maybe Cena wins the title somehow this year, and maybe McIntyre takes it off of him.
We'll talk offline about that.
Yeah, for sure. I really thought Drew was going to win the match, but then Seth Rollins hits him with a roll up and pins him. Of course, after the match was pretty brutal. I don't know if you get to see the end of it, but
I did. Yeah,
Drew. When Drew attacking Seth was pure gold.
It was, and then the
makes him more of a heel.
that came out to help Seth.
See, that's another thing that they're leaving us hanging on, because if y'all watch the end of Raw, Sami Zayn came out, attacked McIntyre. McIntyre hit him with a Claymore, and then throws Sami into the barrier. Right? Sami comes back in. Oh, no, I don't think he hit him with a Claymore. I think it was a Glasgow kiss.
Yeah, he gave him with a Glasgow. And then
goes into the barricade.
Yeah, and then that's when he went back into the ring, attacked Seth again, put him into the corner, and then Sami comes in, goes to the corner, goes for the hell of a kick, and hits the hell of a kick, just not on Drew.
Yeah, he hits it to Seth Rollins, and the Raw goes off with Sami on his knees next to Seth, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this, blah, 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 blah. And Seth was giving him this look like he's a bitch.
Typical, they do that all
setting up for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, setting up for the Royal Rumble. That's all that was.
But now, I will say that overall, Raw was very solid. The past 3 weeks on Netflix has been phenomenal. I mean, week one, it's going to be hard to beat the debut
Oh yeah, for
edition
sure.
because
But
of it's
debut
the
was
Mania
so-
caliber matches and promos they had. But last week was good. This week was good. It's been solid. I give it a solid B plus, A minus. You know, you take out that PFC match and replace it with something else, I'd probably give it an A plus. You know, nothing personal. I'm not a fan. That match didn't blow me away. Neither did the A Dunn and Penta match. It didn't really blow me away.
It wasn't supposed
I
to.
can't wait to see them. No, I know. I want to see them put Penta against another high flyer, like another Lucha Libre or something, and then you're going to
You
get
know
a
who the
5-star
perfect
match.
opponent would have been if they were still in the company?
Who's that?
Ricochet.
Yes, Ricochet would be good. Johnny Gargano would be good,
Gargano.
but he's on SmackDown. And being on SmackDown, of course, Penta could move to SmackDown. I don't know. I doubt it. I think they're going to keep him on Raw because of it being on Netflix and stuff like that. But you know, another thing I've gathered on Raw ever since it debuted on Netflix is they're not really promoting the women's Royal Rumble match. They're talking the heck out of the men's, but they're not really promoting the women's match.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's just the lack of women competitors right now.
Maybe
Because
I think that's going to be the opening match.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, it's that which tells me that they're going to have a lot of surprise returns or debuts or whatever. Which we'll talk about that again in our Rumble video. But man, they're pushing this men's Royal Rumble match like crazy.
Something bad.
And I mean, they talked about it.
That's going to happen.
That's exactly my notes. It says, I think something big is going to happen. What is that? What is that really big thing that's going to happen? Because obviously it's going to end the show. It's got to.
Yeah, if they're promoting the men's as hard as they are, they can't open
It's
it
got
like
inch.
they did last year.
No, they can't. I mean, last year they ended with a men's Rumble match, but
Or the year before, whatever year it was when the women's was the main event.
yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. I think when Rhea won it.
I want to talk about
Yep.
one more thing. Yesterday, during a promotion that is associated with the WWE over at TNA, there was a match.
Yep.
Anybody should know that clap if they're true wrestling fans. Just say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Do you believe in Joe
Sir.
Hendry? Because
Oh, absolutely.
I believe this man is going to be a phenomenal TNA champion. But yeah, that Joe Hendry match, it was much needed, and it was time. My personal opinion. I'm going to go ahead and say this one. This is one that I will say. We're going to see him in the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we will see him in the WWE very soon. There was a podcast that he was actually on today. And there's one person that he had called out.
Really? I didn't hear this.
Yes.
No way. That would be a match. And I could see Cena losing to him to put him over.
Yeah, it was like some kind of interview or something where Triple H had posted something about TNA and something else. Someone else had posted about it, and John Cena had posted the TNA logo somewhere, and that Joe Hendry said, or it was the Bubba Ray Dudley and Mark Henry podcast that they do.
Busted
And-
Open?
Yeah. And
I think it's Busted Open, isn't it?
something like that. And the question from Bubba Ray was, who is the one person in TNA that you're looking over your shoulder at? And he said John Cena. And that's when he said the whole thing about calling John Cena out and everything. So
Wow.
does John Cena make an appearance on TNA or does it happen on WWE?
That's a good question.
Like,
It's a really good question. I don't know.
because that would be a good match. I think
Phenomenal.
that would be a great match. Thank you for tuning in to the Unleashed Wrestling Podcast. I'm Yorkie, and this is TJ over there on the other side. And we will see you next time. Peace.
Peace.